Hi everyone, my name is Jael and today we'll be discussing the Labelizer, our most popular tool which is widely used among advertisers across Europe. Today we'll be discussing how the labels are assigned to each product and also when it makes sense for you to start with the Labelizer. Afterwards we'll discuss how to implement the Labelizer in Google Ads, Producthero and Merge Center, and finally we will end with our best practices to make sure to boost your profitability. Looking at your dashboard, you can see an overview of the distribution of your labels. So in this case, for example, you can see that over 75% of your products are zombies, which means they are not visible in Google Shopping. You can also see that for your villains, you're relatively high cost. So about 26% of your costs are being spent on villains, which are most likely not profitable. You can also see that over 50% of your revenue is coming from your heroes, but only 5% of your products are heroes, which means you rely on a very small amount of products for a very large amount of revenue. In this case, it's important to understand where this data is coming from. So if you go to your advertising page, you can create your labelizer strategy. So over here, it's important to understand the metrics, as you can see here. So you can see that the strategy is applied to 977 products, and the Producthero target ROAS is set to 374, and the number of clicks is 47. So for your Producthero target ROAS, we recommend setting the target ROAS 25% lower than your actual ROAS in Google Ads. The reason we say this is because of conversion lag. It can take up to 72 hours before a conversion is assigned to a campaign. This means if you look back in your Google Ads dashboard, it's very likely if you look back to the data of yesterday that you can see a small dip in performance, which usually is not in line with the performance of the days before. Usually it takes up to 72 hours before the data is updated in the dashboard, and you can see that the dip of that certain day is now being recovered and it looks the same as the previous days. So the reason we recommend setting your target ROAS lower is to take that into account and prevent that products might be mislabeled based on one bad day. For your number of clicks, it's basically your conversion rate. So if you need 47 clicks for conversion, that's basically a conversion rate of 2%. So if you combine these two, your target ROAS and your number of clicks, it's basically the way we assign labels to your products. So it basically works as a matrix. So products which outperform the target ROAS and also outperform the number of clicks are products with high volumes and good performance, and therefore they are heroes. For example, your sidekicks are products which have not exceeded the number of clicks, but have exceeded your ROAS. These products are basically lucky shots. These products have shown potential because they were sold with a very low amount of clicks and exceeded the ROAS. So these are products you might want to allocate more budget to turn the sidekicks basically into heroes. So your villains are products which are exceeding the number of clicks, but not exceeding the ROAS. This basically means that these products are costing you money and basically not bringing in enough revenue in return. Your zombies are basically products which are not exceeding any of the thresholds. So they are basically sleeping and they are not active in your shopping campaigns. These products you want to allocate more budget to because a zombie could potentially be a hero or a sidekick. Before splitting up your campaigns, it's important to understand if it makes sense for you to split your campaigns up. So to do this, it's important to look at two factors. You can look at the amount of products and the amount of conversions. We recommend having at least 50 products in your inventory and more than 30 conversions in the last 30 days. The reason we recommend this is because if you have too little products and not enough conversions, Google Smart Bidding will struggle to reach its goal, and usually you will see that it will negatively impact your performance. So keep in mind having enough products and enough conversions before splitting your campaigns up. After setting up your strategy, you can see your product distribution, as you can see here. So you can see that we have a relatively high amount of zombies And you can also see that the cost per label for the villains is relatively high. So with your strategy, you're also able to influence the distribution. So for example, if you lower the click threshold, you actually see that the amount of zombies will decrease, as you can see here. So this is a way to play around and to basically influence how products are being labeled. Keep in mind that it will actually affect your performance, as products will shift between labels, and you will see that certain labels are receiving more heroes, for example, this way, and therefore you can see that spend will increase on certain labels. So please keep that in mind. If you're satisfied with your campaign setup, with your labelizer strategy, you can go to your next step. And here you can see an overview of your budget per label. This is a calculation, and you're actually able to see the multiplier in here. Please keep in mind this is only a recommendation and should not be applied blindly. So please see if the numbers here actually make sense. So in here you're also able to see your custom labels. You need to select a custom label, otherwise the labelizer won't work. So you can select enable the advertising label in your feed over here. And then you can see which custom labels are currently available for your feed. So you can see here that custom label 0 and custom label 4 don't have any values applied to them yet. And you can see for the other labels, they're already in use. This way you can select custom label 0 because it's empty. And then you could move on to save and finish strategy. So now you can see that your strategy has been changed. And then if you head back to your advertising page, you can copy your supplemental source and add it to Merge Center. After copying the supplemental source from our platform, head over to Merge Center. Then select the gear icon and go to add-ons. Here you need to check if the advanced data source management add-on has been installed. If so, great. Then let's go to your data sources by again clicking the gear icon. So here you can see that 2 primary data sources have been uploaded, one for Great Britain and one for the Netherlands. You can also see that multiple supplemental sources have been added to Merge Center. So to connect our supplemental source to your primary data source, select Add Supplemental Product Data. Here, copy paste the supplemental source from our platform. For the schedule, it's important to actually update around 11. Our platform fetches data from Google Ads and Merge Center every day, starting at midnight, and our supplemental source is ready around 10 in the morning. So we recommend actually to fetch sometime later to make sure the data in our source is actually fresh. Then head over to your feed label settings. So here you can select, for example, feed label for the Netherlands. Language in that case will be Dutch. And then you can select the correct primary data source. So now you can create the data source and verify if everything is set up correctly. So by doing so, you can go to your data source setup. You can see it's connected to the right feed label. You can see it updates every 24 hours at 11 in the morning. You can see the file. So it's also important that the right file is connected. And for your own overview, provide a clear name, so you can save it here. You can also manually fetch the data. So in this case, the data will be instantly refreshed in Merge Center instead of the next day. After setting up your labelizer strategy in our platform and connecting the supplemental source to your primary data source in Merge Center, the next step will be to connect the labelizer to your campaigns in Google Ads. For this example, we use a PMax campaign, but you can also use a standard shopping campaign if you want. So our best practice for PMax is to create an asset group without any content, as you can see here. So to bypass Google's error messages when setting up a PMax campaign without assets, you basically create an asset group with placeholders. As you can see here, we generated some images and some headlines. And the only purpose for this asset group is to bypass the error messages. So afterwards, you will be able to create a products-only asset group. And by going to the listing group over here, you will be able to select the right custom label for this campaign. So let's say this campaign is dedicated to your heroes. You would go to your listing group here, select the custom label and the right value. So in this case, heroes. And the advantage of custom labels is that if you select one value, for example, heroes, all other labels will be excluded from this campaign. So this way you make sure that only heroes will show up in this campaign. So that will help you to filter out all the other products. So this is one of our best practices. We also recommend disabling final URL expansion. That's what you can find in your campaign settings. So the reason we recommend disabling this function is because this way you make sure that you only show your ads from your shopping feed. So basically, if you enable this feature, Google will also be able to send traffic to pages outside of your shopping feed. So for example, they could send traffic to your homepage, but also to blog articles or your contact page. And for shopping campaigns, you basically want to limit to product advertisements only. So after setting up your campaigns and you're started to generate data, the best practice is also to keep a close eye to the performance. So what you can see here, of course, the data is not active, so the campaign is not active, so we're not generating any data. So the best practice is to always have these columns, as you can see here. So your target ROAS, your conversion value divided by cost, and your actual cost. So these are great ways to basically change your budget or your target ROAS. So best practices, for example, let's say you have a target ROAS of 500%, and you see that your actual ROAS, your conversion value divided by cost, is exceeding your target ROAS. And you also see that your daily cost is coming close to your daily budget, basically. That will be a sign, an indication to, for example, increase your budget to basically get more revenue for the same ROAS. You can also, for example, lower your target ROAS, and therefore you will enter more auctions. If you enter more auctions, you will increase your visibility. So especially for your heroes products, you want to maximize your visibility, and therefore you can maximize your conversions basically. We shared our best practices regarding setting up the Labelizer strategy in our platform, Merge Center, and Google Ads. Hopefully, this will guide you in the right direction to super boost your shopping campaigns. Please let me know what you think of the video in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later!